audience, I want you to meet retired Lieutenant Brian Murphy. He was the first officer to respond to the Sikh temple massacre in Oak Creek and was shot 15 times. His fellow officer who's standing next to him, Sam Linda. Sam Linda took out... His fellow officer standing next to him, Sam Linda, took out the shooter that day, is also with us. We want to just, first of all, take a moment to thank both of them for their service and their actions. Brian has a question for you tonight. He says he likes Governor Kasich, but he's still undecided. So, Brian?
Good evening, Mr. Trump. I have a question. In light of the Brussels and Paris attacks, one of the quickest knee-jerk reactions is the backlash against specific minority religious groups. This, in turn, brings about things that cause damage all over. In Milwaukee, you heard about the Sikh temple shooting. 6 people were killed. 99% of the men in the United States who wear turbans are actually Sikh and not Muslim. How would you suggest we help educate the public and not alienate these groups? And at the same time, how do we protect the constitutional rights of minority groups like the Muslim, Sikh, Hindu, and Jews while still addressing radical Islamization?
Well, Brian, thank you for the question. We have a tremendous problem with radical Islam, whether we like it or we don't. We have a president who won't talk about it. I mean, Ted was saying the same thing. We have a president that won't talk about it. And why he won't talk about it, perhaps only he knows. But it's a disgrace what's going on. We have a serious, serious problem. And when I called for a temporary ban, I thought that was a very bad thing for me to do politically, but I felt I should do it. And I didn't know that I would go up in the poll as opposed to down. I did that because I really felt there had to be something done. That was after the horrible San Bernardino, California situation, after obviously Paris, which was terrible. You know, we talk about Paris with the gun-free zones, and we talk about Paris with their strong gun laws, by the way. Nobody had guns except for the bad guys. If we would have had guns on the other side, going in terms of Second Amendment, having to do if bullets were, and the same thing with San Bernardino. If bullets were going in the opposite direction, you wouldn't have had the problems that you had in those 2 places, that I can tell you. So I think we have to be extremely careful with our Second Amendment, and we have to cherish our Second Amendment, very important. But I would say this, when I called for the temporary banning, we have to look at it. We have a serious problem. I think you'll admit that, Brian. We have a very, very serious problem with radical Islam. And if we don't want to discuss it, and if we don't want to look at it, we're never going to solve the problem. We have to be extremely strong with ISIS. We have to wipe ISIS off the face of the earth so fast and so violently. We have no choice. We have no choice. And I was against the war in Iraq, okay? I am not a fast trigger. I'm exactly the opposite of that. We should have never gone in and destabilized the Middle East. But I will tell you this, we got out, Obama got us out very badly. Instead of leaving some troops and instead of giving a date, instead of, you know, the exact time, I would say this, though, we have no choice but to look at that. We have to be very, very vigilant, very smart, and frankly, Brian, we have to be very, very tough, because it's only going to get worse. Thousands of people are being allowed into this country over short periods of time, coming supposedly from Syria. We have no idea who they are. We have no idea where is their paperwork. They have no paperwork. They have no identification. They're coming into this country, and it's going to be a big, big problem.
The other, though, part of Lieutenant Murphy's question was about protecting the rights of minority groups, of Muslims, of Sikhs, of Jews, and others inside the United States.
I want to do that also, and I do want to do that. But at the same time, we have to recognize we have a serious problem.
Well, let me follow up on that. You said you had agreed the other day, I think you said you agreed with Senator Ted Cruz's proposal in the wake of the Brussels attacks that law enforcement should, and I quote, patrol and secure Muslim neighborhoods before they become radicalized. I talked to him about this in the last